Today I want to talk about testing the glue method to a pin in order to make it more tunable. And on this piano, the A has been going flat almost immediately. So, and that would be the left string of this A. And it is the left string because I'll mute that. And this will now strike the 2. So I'm following advice from YouTube and going to try putting this glue in there and letting it dry for a half hour, 20 minutes. I think I would wait longer. I see no reason to go right to it and try to get it tuned to stay. Just be patient and let it dry. And I believe the advice is to put as much glue as the opening will take, but not to be sloppy and let it drip all over the place. You don't want that. So I put the glue in. This is pretty well-behaved glue. I added a little at a time and just kept applying it. But trying to avoid any drips or anything. It did go into the hole pretty nicely. And so I guess the true test is what it does over 24 hours. And that's the sound of the A. It already sounds more stable. Sometimes on these old uprights, they have all kinds of problems, but this does have a few loose hammers, which I'll get to at another time, but that's also something affecting the tone because it travels left like that, basically hitting 2 strings more than not. This is 24 hours later. The A in the middle C range. And this is the note that I worked on yesterday. I'll get a little closer for the beats. This is the left string, and I'm going to mute it. So that the tone without that troublesome string can be heard. It did not hold that pure tone from the other day. And what I did was tune this a little higher just to see if it would ease down to being in tune rather than going flat. This is a follow-up to the A note in the middle C range to see how it's sounding a few days later. This is about 3 or 4 days later. So it has a very slight beat, but it's much better than before using the glue, and also tuning it a little higher. Maybe one of those worked and the other didn't, but at least I gave it a try. And I think the point is that tone, even in an old piano, can be made better. Whether it's the tuning, stabilizing the tuning pins, seating a pin below better or gluing it, or filing the hammers, and so forth. There are a variety of things that can be done to help with notes that are not behaving, strings that aren't behaving. This is the glue I'm using for this project. It is BSI Instacure Ultra Thin Glue. I got it at a local craft store. They also sold these very thin tips individually that can be used to apply the glue, and they happen to have two different tips, and the tips are very thin, so they can get into a lot of crevices. And I used this quite easily. It applied very well, did not drip, and did not clog the tip that I used, the old one, so that even if I clean this up a little bit by cleaning dust and junk that gathered on the tip, it still could be reused. I also use this at the bridge pens, also recommended as a treatment for stabilizing a bridge pin that may be moving when the string is struck. This is a 110-year-old piano, so a lot of the tone from it can be improved by different methods, not just tuning. But this glue approach to gluing the pin, or trying to get glue around the pin, did improve the tone, the stability of the pin, I should say, because the tone has held. There's a little wobble there, but I would have to open the piano up to see if this is the hammer that's traveling left, and it's probably left, and that's easily the reason why. Here's another tone that has problems, or a set of strings, unisons here. This may be that all three strings is ringing. So let's just do one string. And that's ringing, beating. The left string is beating. And now let's test the right. That sounds pretty good. So actually the middle and the right string are not ringing much or beating, so it's just the left string again. So I'm going to tune this up, see if I can. Too high. Too low. There's a beat there that I can't get out, even though, and these are the two strings, middle and right. Maybe there's just a slight enough beat in one of them. That's slightly sharp. Now I'm going to try to tune the one that has false beats to the two that are reasonably good. That's about as far close as I have been able to get it in the past. It does have a beat. Quite a bit. Like 3 or 4 beats per second. But there's a false beat in there, so from what I understand, you just try to tune as best you can around a false beat. I'll give it a little more tug to see if there's anything. That's pretty fast. All right, well, sometimes it's hard to tell if it is slightly better. Okay, so I applied the glue, and now I'll strike the key. I did tune it as best I could. Go in to get closer to that sound.